You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. We've got a bombshell mega broadcast, except that we're getting hacked by the Matrix. We started a broadcast, it didn't go. We were talking to ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you know, they don't want this information out there. But we've got bombshell breaking news. Everybody now knows about the official reports of this escaping the bioweapons lab. And they're trying to make it seem like this was some kind of HIV vaccine gone wrong. But of course you don't mix HIV with SARS for a vaccine. You mix HIV with SARS for a bioweapon. Now what's very interesting about the current situation is that while this was breaking out in November, we now know that this was breaking out in the month of November. And China officially launched its 5G on November 1st, according to ZDNet. And it includes cities like Wuhan. And what we're seeing, in fact, is that cities with 5G are disproportionately affected by this virus. 5G is launching at the same time as this outbreak. You know, is that a coincidence? They don't want to talk about it. What they want to say is that this fact has been dismissed by experts. And they go on to cite that there is no evidence. There's no research because this thing just rolled out. There's no safety research on this stuff. Now, this is a fact checker, right? Experts dismiss 5G wireless. All right, this is a fact checker from Nigeria. This is the fact checker, fact-checking journalist. This is the guy that's telling you everything's okay with the 5G. Are you fucking kidding me? And in fact, you know, everybody is saying, oh, there's no scientific evidence that links coronavirus to 5G. Where's the evidence that it doesn't link? I mean, the 5G gets turned on and people are dropping dead. That's one heck of a coincidence. Now, they can call it rumors, they can call it conspiracy theories. But imagine you flip the switch, you know, for the light in your room and all of a sudden you hear like some kind of spark and somebody drops dead. Do you think there might be a relationship there? There just might be. You know, and you just can't help but think about how disingenuous the television has been throughout this pandemic. They're like, oh yeah, wash your hands, you'll be fine. What kind of pneumonia do you know out there that isn't airborne? You think washing your hands is going to suffice? They're like, you don't need a mask. And then they're like, oh no, the 5G, that's not, you know, immunotoxic for you at all. That's the new word, immunotoxic. It's toxic for your immune system. They're like, oh no, just wash your hands. And they keep calling these things theories. They keep saying there's no evidence. They flipped a switch on 5G and all of a sudden now everybody's fucking dead. And, you know, you look at the cities where the outbreak was happening, they got the 5G. Daegu in South Korea, 5G. 3,000 base stations, 5G base stations in Daegu. Right there. So, you know, it looks like they're selectively activating the virus in cities of their choosing. That's what it looks like. But there's certainly a huge link between the 5G and this outbreak. And we've got other cases of that we'd certainly like to explore with you if we can find the maps. Probably not the video guys. On vacation as usual. No luck. There it is. So this is the outbreak map, pretty much as it exploded across America. What's the relationship here? Why are certain cities getting hit and other cities aren't? Now, I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of theories on this. But what we're seeing essentially is that it correlates quite well with the 5G map. Now, obviously, this might not be the only ingredient, but when we look at the 5G map and how this thing exploded, seems like there's a relationship there. Wherever there's 5G, hardcore 4G plus, LTE, we're seeing an explosion of cases. Now, Miami is really kind of like the best argument that you can make right now in terms of this happening in 5G hotspots. And, there's a lot of big cities in Florida, and there's a lot of big networks, but Miami's the only one with the hardcore 5G. And when you look at the outbreak maps, it's really Miami that's got the bulk of the cases, disproportionately so. And I think if there was ever, a strong case to make for 5G being at the center of this outbreak, it's what's happening in Miami right now. Now, there's probably other arguments that people want to make, like, cruise ships have gone into, into Miami, and there's a lot of people that go into Miami Airport. Well, there's a lot of people that go to Disney World, and you'd think that would be pretty much like the premier location for an outbreak, but we're looking at Miami. And every place else that's got a big red dot has got the 5G. And when we look at the places that don't have a whole lot of networks, we're not seeing a whole lot of cases. And you might say, well, there's nobody there. Well, there's people there, and there are cases there, but they're not nearly as severe. People are testing positive, but you don't see the rapid expansion like in these other cities with the 5G or with the 4G plus, but especially 5G. And I think the fact that, that they activated the 5G, pretty much at the same time that this virus breaks out. I mean, that's certainly a coincidence you cannot ignore, ladies and gentlemen. So China officially launches 5G network on November 1st. Now, why is this important? Because we're hearing of intelligence reports saying there was a full-on outbreak in November in Wuhan. Most people think like the first cases were in December, but we're now learning that, in fact, the first cases were in November. And we've been talking about this in the timeline ever since we've been covering this outbreak. We were looking at Halloween. We're like, Halloween kind of looks like when they would do that. Check this out. Chinese is launching its 5G network ahead of schedule, dated October 31st, 2019. Boom, bitches. I mean, look, when you know thy enemy, it all starts to make sense. Evil is as evil does. So they roll out the 5G basically on Halloween in Wuhan. Boom. And then they release the virus. Now, it's going to be very confusing at first because people are only going to see the virus. And they're not going to understand, why it's bad in some places, but not bad in others. But it looks like a big danger, so we need to shut everything down because of the virus. But in fact, we need to shut everything down because of the 5G. That's essentially it. And what makes this worse is the fact that while you're locked up, they're actually rolling out more 5G death towers. That's what's strange and unusual about this situation. The video guy. And it's not the video guy, it's the program. It's the program that keeps fucking up when we change scenes. And it wasn't like this before. But just before this outbreak, all of a sudden there was a glitch in the program, can't get rid of it, tried reloading it, all that stuff. All the troubleshooting you could imagine, and it just stays fucked up. Pardon my language. It's part of the interference. It's part of, the way that they continuously, attempt to torture you and attack you. And you're all experiencing this in your lives, one way or another. People, dumb shits around you, torturing you with the most annoying things you can imagine. These are demonic attacks. They are legion. They travel in gangs. And it's not your imagination. But on the bigger scale of this demonic network, of this army of the devil, they're trying to poison humanity. They are killers and destroyers. They're anti-life. They're anti-creation. That is what they do. Don't try to understand them beyond that, ladies and gentlemen. Their aim is to destroy. And if you tolerate them, you know what to expect. So don't act surprised. Don't act surprised when they let Hillary go that this shit happens again. You know what I mean? Don't act surprised they let everybody go and the shit happens again. This is what we get for not going all the way. And, in this Operation Gridlock, it showed everybody how quickly it can go all the way. I mean, you had armed citizens on the, on the grounds of the Capitol, taking it completely over. There was no National Guard, there was no police, it was just the citizens of the United States. And that's the power of we the people. And, what's keeping you at home, what's keeping you gridlocked in your mind is fear. But once you get over fear and you just say, fuck it, life is it's a whole different place. The world's a whole different place, ladies and gentlemen. And essentially, we're at that stage now. We're basically at that stage. Fuck it. These people are out there. They're homicidal maniacs. They're child molesters. They're devil worshippers. They're trying to kill everybody. They're trying to usher in, their medical martial law and their beast system and, come get your biochip. That's what these people are trying to roll out. Fuck it. You know what I mean? So people have to, continue to stay on the same page. It is, we the people versus this new world order. It's not, there's no such thing as Republicans or Democrats. Those are just shills on TV. It's part of the they live control grid. There is no such thing as Republican versus Democrat. It's, a fake idea that's reinforced by the fake news on the fake television, and it's all controlled by the devil. It's all controlled by the dark side. These people are not your friends. This administration, as much as you might love, what they have to say, they're the ones that made 5G a national security priority. They're the ones that let this virus in. They're the ones that locked up Assange. They're the ones that genocided the Kurds. And he didn't say nothing. Guess who's next? That's right. That's you. That's everybody. That's what complacency does. It kills. And if you don't think these people are out to get you, think again. Hey, do your own research and check out this video on the Wi-Fi. With the Wi-Fi off, life goes according to program, according to what's in the DNA. Normal development. With the Wi-Fi on, that development has been stunted. Now they're autistic. Now they're retarded. Now they don't even exist with the Wi-Fi. That's how devastating this energy is, this radiation is. And you would know that if you had a meter. Now, there's meters out there like the tri-field meter and, the gigahertz solution. Nice meters. But they top out at 20 milliwatts. And it's like they don't really seem as advanced as they should be for the money. We found the EMF 390, and I've gotten blasts with 10,000 milliwatts. It's like 10 watts of energy, burst effects. I mean, you can track down hidden towers. You can scan in different bandwidths. You can use it as a dosimeter. The EMF 390. It's only $129 right now on our website, stfnreport.com. Shop around. You'll be back. Get them while supplies last, ladies and gentlemen. But you definitely want to know what you're getting dosed with. And even the Wi-Fi router, you might think, oh, that's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay at all. You think your phone's okay? It's not okay at all. It's fucking scary, in fact. And, we strongly recommend people understand what they're getting dosed with. Do your own research. Check out, the Bioinitiative safety standards and all of the scientific reports that go into those standards. And you'll understand why people have meters. It's like a thermometer, but for the radiation. And what they're picking up now is like through the roof. I mean, 20 milliwatts is a big fucking dose, obviously. And, it's worse than a microwave oven. And that's just at the window here at the Hotel Lake Tahoe. And, this video is from November. Right around the same time as, the outbreak was being booted up out there in Wuhan. It's kind of funny looking at our videos from November. We're talking a lot about the 5G, a lot about the 4G, the obvious health effects and the problems with how they're rolling it out. You can't, protest. Your city can't protest due to health concerns. Insurance companies don't cover, any kind of damage related to this radiation. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned. You have an army of professors and doctors saying this stuff is dangerous. Do not roll out 5G. And no matter how many people are telling you this, the television doesn't care. The politicians don't care. They don't want to hear it. You could have one of these things, in your backyard, irradiating you 24/7. Look at these things. They're like military weapons. Look at them. This is not, your standard street lamp. This is a military weapon meant to irradiate you in your own home. No escape. You can't opt out. You have no representation, no recourse, no way to protest. It's absolutely obligatory to get obliterated, annihilated by this technology. That doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem like freedom. How free do you feel out there right now, ladies and gentlemen? And you want to act surprised that these towers are burning down? No radiation without representation. Start a 5G group in your town. Talk to your neighbors about this stuff. And that way, if towers do get burnt down and, somebody asks for a jury trial, it'll be jury nullification, baby. Nobody wants these death towers in their neighborhoods. They should have asked us if we were okay with it before they did it. That's basically people's, point of view right now. And nobody can recommend you, doing an act of civil disobedience, but you see people doing it all the time. And so, nobody on television or on the radio can say, everybody should be doing civil disobedience. They can't do that. But you're seeing people do it because it needs to be done. And, all we can do is report on the numbers. And it's spiking now. And they've completely banned all information regarding 5G and the destruction of these towers and the link to this virus. Now, fact checkers, from Africa that are working for Facebook or whatever, they come on and they're like, there's no evidence that says that these death towers are causing the virus. Well, there's no research on the topic, but they don't include that. They don't include any evidence that says that these things are actually safe. They just say they're safe. They say according to experts. Which experts? Which studies are they citing right now? Because, there's been some major studies like the Interphone study, lots of huge NIH studies and the like that say, this technology is dangerous. It causes cancer. That's why we're seeing the cancer clusters near these death towers and the like. These things are dangerous. They're way dangerous. And yet, at every attempt to talk about it, They're like, oh, it's some kind of, unproven conspiracy theory. Day one of this outbreak, we're like, oh yeah, this definitely escaped the lab. You see these people, they're dressed like Fukushima. Real common sense kind of shit. 3 months later, they're like, oh yeah, it came out of the lab. But the whole time, they were saying all of that is conspiracy theories. And their fact checker from Fakebook actually worked for the Chinese. Big surprise. That's come out. And, speaking of that, Fakebook and Google and Twitter and all of them, they're complicit in covering up, all sorts of crimes against humanity that have been perpetrated by the Chinese. And, they're as communist as the Communist Party in China. The Twitter, the YouTube, the Fakebook, they're as communist as the Chinese. They're as much they're as much Chinese as they are anything else. Fakebook, Chinese. Twitter, Chinese. YouTube, Chinese. Just like the virus, Chinese. Just like this 5G, Chinese, bitches. And they don't want you to know. They come on, they're like, oh yeah, this is fake news. You know who owns Africa right now? The Chinese. This is their fact checker from China, basically saying, oh look, experts dismiss claims that 5G wireless technology. Of course of course. Who owns these guys? Probably the Chinese. They own it all. 5G is not accelerating according to the Chinese. Right? But if you can speak the language, we had 5G, but you start using the original language, boom, you got it all. They got 3,500 5G base stations in Daegu. And, look, everywhere you're seeing 5G base stations, you're seeing, hardcore cases of Wuhan supervirus. China launching 5G network ahead of schedule. Right on, right like we said. How many people, remember us saying that? Oh, I'm sure they did that on Halloween. Boom, they launched it on Halloween. There you go. There it is. I should just drop the mic here and just, take the rest of the day off. China officially launches 5G networks on November 1st. So what is, this is according to ZDNet. This isn't, we didn't write this article. Right? So what do you think the chances are right now, ladies and gentlemen, that this virus would launch at the same time as their 5G? Do you think there's any coordination, especially now that it's come out that it's come from a lab? They're confirming it now, officially. It's come from the lab, right? Everybody's talking about that, huge shift in the narrative, right? It's come from the lab. So they release it from the lab at the same time that they launch their 5G. Do you think there's any coordination there? Hello? Is anybody out there? Anybody with brains left out there? Hello? This comes out of the lab. It's a pandemic, right? So they release it in November 2019, the same time that they activate their 5G. Do you think it's all part of the plan? Do you think there's something in common there? Of course there is. And where are we seeing, all of these, where are we seeing the worst cases? Where they got the 5G networks. Case closed. I'll take it to a jury. I'll take it to a fucking jury right now. You give me a jury on the Supreme Court. You can't actually do that because those shills are the jury. But you give me a jury in any court of the land, and I'll convict every telecom, all these people on TV. Guaranteed. But instead they want to censor you. They want to pretend like you're not out there. Oh, we're out there. This information's out there. And, people aren't waiting around for the shills in government to do what's right. You know what I mean? They're just burning down these death towers. Not sure what happened to the video guy. But people aren't waiting for permission. If they're irradiating you 24/7, it's obvious they're out to get you. They're fluoridating you. They're fucking up your kids with the vaccines. Not just a little bit, hardcore. That's the kind of people that you're up against. You think they're going to come by and turn off their 5G? Oh no, they're not turning off their 5G. They're going to be rolling out even more. Look, it could take them days and days and, $100,000 to set up a new location. But it'd probably take the average citizen $2 worth of gas and 5 minutes to take that bitch down. That's what it takes to smoke a death tower. About $2.50. So if it costs them $100,000 in days to put it up, and it takes the average citizen 5 minutes, plus, a little planning and all that stuff, I suppose, according to the experts, then, the math is pretty simple. They can't sustain the rollout of 5G. Now, what they can do is, ramp up the issue and turn it into, a terrorist activity. Who do you think the terrorists are? The people unleashing the virus or the people trying to burn down these death towers? That's pretty common sense. That's why it's important that, everybody out there talks about the dangers of 5G. Educate, the jury pool out there. Because if people get, arrested for this kind of thing, they should be demanding a jury trial. They should be making, a case against these death towers. This is why they have to go down. This is civil disobedience. This is like Martin Luther King Jr. Let my people go. We're all in this geofence, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, that was originally Moses. Let my people go. And that's what we need to say to Pharaoh here. They're rolling out the death towers. They're rolling out the 5G. Let our people go. We don't want to be irradiated by this shit. And, the way they kind of keep you in line is like, okay, well, if you don't vote for me, then you got to vote for creepy Biden. So who in their right mind is going to vote for the fucking pedophile? So you're stuck with the 5G, right? And that's just not how it's supposed to work. That might be the art of the deal out there in New York. But I think we got a new deal. I think we got a new idea for how this is going to roll out. And, it's only a matter of time before people realize, oh, no shit, yeah, I feel a lot better after they took down that death tower. You're not going to be hearing a whole lot of reports about where these death towers are and how all of a sudden there's no longer severe cases of COVID. They're not going to be letting people, report on that shit. But they should. And I bet once somebody, in your neighborhood takes down their local death tower, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be like, wow, I fucking felt that. The moment it went off, it was like clarity came back. My energy came back. I could sleep at night. The pain went away. All of a sudden I could breathe again. You'd be surprised how much better you'd feel if, these networks went fucking down. And, it's only a matter of time before it happens. That's guaranteed. Because, with this virus, it's going to be a perpetual virus, perpetual reminder every time you wear a mask. You're going to be looking at these death towers and you're going to understand this is why you wear the mask. This is why you're feeling ill. It's because of these death towers. That's why they're called death towers. And look, for years people have been covering, the clusters of cancer around these towers at schools and the like. I mean, it's a win-win proposition. I mean, people are saving their lives by taking down these death towers. And you can't blame people for wanting to survive. And now they're putting them up everywhere. And unless you have a meter, you're just not going to know what you're getting dosed with. So, find a meter, understand how bad it is and how much worse it's getting. And then there's there's the Death Star network with Elon Musk. So, you got death towers and now you got the Death Stars that are going to be rolled out. And it's just, who's going to survive? Who's going to survive that shit? You're going to have to run around out there with an EMF proof umbrella for the Death Star network on top of everything else. And I don't know what happened to the video. We had a video of, the Elon Musk death grid. It's coming to you. They've already launched some, and by this summer, it's supposed to be full-blown, non-stop North America irradiated like never before. And all of a sudden your health is going to take a turn for the worse, and you're just not going to understand why. Even if you're out in the country far away from this shit, you can't opt out. You can't escape. They won't let you unless you take this country back. And that's where Operation Gridlock comes in. You saw how quick it was for citizens just to take their country back. All of a sudden, people were at the State House. It was only the citizens and nobody else. There it is. The fucking Elon Musk death grid coming to you. And this is just one of many death grids coming to you in the coming years. And it's just going to progressively get worse and worse and worse. Just like in the cities with the 3G, 4G, 5G, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're not going to know what's responsible for your symptoms. Unless you go scientific and you go into basically, a Faraday cage and live there for a week and experiment and see how much better you feel. Until you can actually, negate the effects of EMF for a week in your life, you won't know the difference. It'll just seem like your new normal. And they love that kind of strategy. Hyper-normalization of, an extreme environment. You just get used to it. You don't even think about it anymore. It's like, urban air. If you're out from the country and you go into the city, all of a sudden it's like every car, is a nightmare. It just adds to the ambient pollution. And, unless you know the difference between natural and, good and wholesome, what you see in the city is just going to seem normal. Oh, gangbangers, slinging crack on the corner, that just seems normal for people living in the city. Some dude wearing a pink dress is just normal in a big city. But you see that you see somebody doing that in a small town, they stand out because that shit just ain't normal. Just like these death towers, they stand out. It's not normal. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if we're still broadcasting out there. We've been having all sorts of trouble with the Matrix today. But yeah, it looks like there's a few of you out there. I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the audience. And we're going to keep hitting on this idea. But it's important for everybody to know, do their own research. When it comes to the rollout of 5G and the outbreak in Wuhan, it was pretty much the exact same day, as far as we can tell. We know that the virus came from a lab. They switch on the 5G and they release it from the lab in the same month. There must be a correlation there. And when we look at, the 5G networks in America and this outbreak map, the places with 5G are hit the worst. By far. And you might think, well, those are the bigger cities. There's more, it's more densely packed. That would make sense. There's probably other factors. And nobody would blame you for thinking that. I mean, that's what common sense would tell you. But then you look at what's going on in Florida. Now, Florida's got a lot of big cities. And Florida's got, quite a bit of 4G in between, Orlando and what looks like Tampa Bay. It's all like one big 4G grid. But they don't have the cases like Miami. Orlando's got Disney World. Orlando's got all sorts of tourist attractions. Lots of people there. Even lots of black people. But they don't have the 5G. Not like Miami. And, you look at, every place that's been hit, for the most part, and it's got a very big, solid 5G network. And the severity of cases, too. And where you're seeing not a whole lot of 5G, not a whole lot of 4G, you're not seeing a whole lot of severity of cases. There's people there. There's people that are infected there, from North Dakota to Nebraska, from Montana to Wyoming. There's people, there's cases there, but it's not at all the same severity. So there's a link between the severity of cases, the severity of the disease, and the density of the network. 4G, 5G. I wouldn't want to live anywhere near a 4G plus network right now. I don't know about you, but looking at, the correlation here, I wouldn't want to live anywhere near 5G. Because it's only a matter of time before they activate an outbreak in your town. Because this is all by design. They flip a switch at the right frequency. We don't know what frequency it is. 5G is on all sorts of frequencies, from 2.5 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz, and then you've got some bands, up to 20 gigahertz, 60 gigahertz, and the like. So they've got all sorts of spectrums that they're using for 5G, that they're calling 5G. It's like an umbrella description of all sorts of frequencies, like never before. And so we don't know exactly what frequency they're turning on to activate this virus, but the Chinese know. And you can bet that, the CDC knows. But if you look at the outbreak map, everything between Minneapolis and the Rockies, it's pretty much, there's nothing. Right? You got half the country super affected, the other half isn't. You look at the network map, there's people, look, it might not be as densely populated as New York, but there's people there and there's cases there. But it's not at all the same thing. Not sure what happened to the video guy. We were trying to time that out. But interference from the Matrix. So here we go. Yeah, see, so everything west of Minneapolis, essentially, to the Rockies, is network free with the exception of Denver. There's some, activity in Denver. You look at the outbreak map. There's people living in all those states. Don't let, this map fool you. There's a lot of people living in between Minneapolis and the Rockies. But look at the difference. There's cases there, but look at the difference. And what do we see? There's no 4G, 5G there. Hardly at all. And that makes a big difference, especially like, all the little dots. Think of all the little dots. Those are all